just asked if your arms were tired.
Why are you picking on me, man?
Because you caught a 41-pound. So do you call it shot, caught? What do you call that when you're bow fishing?
Yeah, shot.
Kind of caught him. Did you see I put on there catch and release? I had to get past the rules and regulations.
Well, technically, we did release him. We did not say what condition he was in when he was released, but yeah, man, that's fun. That's fun. It's big game hunting on the water. You know,
it's the first time I've done it.
Yeah,
you've been asking me for how long to go with you and do that, and I'm like, dude, let's just make a plan to go do it. And I never thought we'd have had the success like we did yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, me either, man. God was shining down on us with that for sure. That was a blessing because we had a lot of opportunity at some big fish, and we capitalized, and you know, just like anything else, quite a few got away.
Yeah, we ain't gonna say how many I missed.
Oh, come on now, man.
We're gonna work on that. I'm gonna get some practice. I'm gonna go to my mom's pool. And I'm going to go and get something submerged in there floating. I'm going to work on that.
There you go.
Buy all the new liners.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, when I first got started, you know, I got my father-in-law is awesome. You know, I a lot of respect for him. And he's helped me kind of go through a renaissance in the outdoors because before I was so locked into work, you know. And, you know, having him is great, but also like having a father-in-law that's great at everything. I'm talking about like great at ping pong or something like that. You know, it kind of can be frustrating. So I did the same thing when I was started out bow fishing with him because I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And now it's kind of reflex shooting, as you saw yesterday. And I try to practice all kinds of ways, and the only practice is being out there and doing it, you know?
Yeah. Well, if you could shoot a deer half as good as you shoot a fish, you'd have a few more trophies on the wall.
I'm telling you, you know, my success rate is high, but I have had a lot of misses, but I'm telling you, it's true. I mean, it's, you know, like I was telling you yesterday, you're such a technical shooter when it comes to the bow. You know, you're settling, you got this process you go through. And it's just this step to this step to this step equals a great shot. Whereas bow fishing, it's all muscle memory. It's like you have no time to do all those things, and you know it's a little more primal.
Yeah,
you know, especially with the way our bows, like mine and yours, are set up nowadays. I mean, those things are so technical. You know, I mean, we know what our arrows weigh to the gram, and it's like all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas bow fishing, it's just much more like caveman.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm excited you're on. Let's get to a proper introduction. This is the first time you've been a part. You've been a part of this, and even a lot of the fun stuff we do for a long time.
Yeah.
But this is your building that we're in. So again, thank you for that. If I haven't told you thank you before.
Hey.
But go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
So my name is Cory Bahr. I'm a chef and restaurateur in Monroe, Louisiana. I've got a couple places, Parish Restaurant, Standard Coffee Company. And I've got a new sushi joint called Sushi Coco opening across the street from Parish sometime this year.
Right in the middle of deer season.
Yeah, I mean, God,
Here at the beginning.
Man, I'm praying. I'm like, you know, fortunately, I've hired a great chef, and he's wonderful. And you know, this is a transition point for me to become more of the restaurateur than the hands-on guy. So perhaps I say that, you know what I mean? And
it's not going to work out like that.
I'm not that type of guy.
No.
I wish I was, but I'm not.
You're going to be in there flipping them, rolling them California rolls all day.
Man, I'm going to be in there, would you like, you know, topping it with crab and tuna and everything. But yeah, man, so that's what I do for a living, and I try to get outdoors as much as possible for fun.
Yep. So we don't have to dive into the weeds. Most everybody, I feel like, especially in this area, is going to know you, but we have a big audience outside of our area. But you've done some cooking shows.
Oh yeah, so I've
hit on that.
I won Best New Chef in America from Food and Wine magazine. I've been featured in everything from Cubby Rice to Garden and Gun and on so forth, so on. Food and Wine, you know, things like that. Southern Living. Been on a lot of cooking shows. Beat Bobby Flay. I beat Bobby Flay. Won Chopped. I was a finalist on Food Network Star. Been a judge on Top Chef. Pretty much done it all inside the food world right here in Monroe, Louisiana.
Yep. The things that probably a lot of people say it's just too small of a town or whatever.
Yeah, that's excuses, man. I was Louisiana of the year a couple of years ago. You know, like stuff like that, man. Mm-hmm. It's you know, it's commitment to where you're from. It's commitment to what you're doing. and focus on that, that yields the returns that people are looking for.
Yeah.
I talk to friends all the time in the industry, whether it be in the food and beverage industry or other industries. And, you say, how are things going? Well, I had 5 jobs in 5 years, or things like that. That's what people do nowadays. They don't really stick with something. And, you think back to, I was pretty much raised by my grandparents, and my grandfather worked for the same company for 40 plus years, and that's how he achieved success, through consistency and staying when it got tough.
Yeah.
And I think we're diving off here, but that's kind of like hunting. It's kind of like fishing, man. You stay, you go through it. You go through this learning curve that you can't shoot a bow worth a flip, or you don't know how to quite present that bait right to the fish, but you got to keep at it, and then you get good. You have a breakthrough. It's the same thing in business, same thing in life.
Yeah. So, have you just had like a undenying, I guess, like perseverance or like drive or motivation wears off quick. Like if you live by motivation, you're done for, but like just determination and just that grind.
Yeah. I'm not going to fail.
Yeah. So is that almost like swole, big headed? Like I don't care. I'm going to bet on myself. Is that what kept you through all these years? It's
more of an obsession than anything else. You know what I mean? You have this ideal, you say, I'm going to achieve this. And it may sound, outlandish or incomprehensible. I've been laughed at a lot when I was young. You know what I mean? When I told people what I was going to do, and I see people 20 plus years later and they're like, man, you did it. And I said, how stupid was I?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's no way I should have achieved what I've achieved. And it's not like it's crazy. I mean, but I have an 8th grade education, and nobody gave me any money to start these things. It's all hard work and friendships and serendipity. And that's what I tell people. It's like my life is based on serendipity. It's try to do nice things for people as best I can and do it without expectation. And, that seems to be what pays the bills.
Yeah. Yeah. So that determination, how does that roll over into your hunting world?
Oh God.
Because dude,
it's very expensive.
It is that. Is that. Just keep that open tab up at these different sporting goods stores all the time.
It's always looking. I've got some hunting ground around here that's really productive and good. But a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to go hunt up in Kansas, and now last year I bought a 482 acre farm up in Kansas. And now this year I have an additional 3,000 acres plus in Kansas. You know what I mean?
What? We'll get into that later.
Yeah, I know.
Still don't know what we're doing with that. We still got to figure that out.
I know, man. It's basically summertime, so it's time to set these farms up, and it's going to be a process, man. But that's kind of where it leads to for me, and it's unfortunate, but I want to try to do it the best I possibly can. I don't want to just go kill a 160. I want to try to set up a farm to kill a 200.
Yeah. And killing a 160 is great.
It is.
But though, it kind of goes back to the determination of you, of like what people know you. That's what they know you as, is like determined. Like if you're set out to do something, you're going to do it. Yeah. If we go bow fishing like we did yesterday, I should have known that we're not going to go just shoot a few spotted gar or a couple buffalo or that 1 or 2 bass that you shot or the crop. No, I'm joking.
I did not shoot a bass.
But I should have known better. You're not going to go and do that. That if you're going to shoot anything, it's going to be a freaking 41-pound carp.
Oh yeah, man. That's what an awesome thing that was, right? I mean, it's the adrenaline of it too for me. Like I'm not one of those guys, and my father-in-law is one of those guys. To talk about him again, shout out to David. He's one of those guys that is so good at bass fishing. Like I'm just telling you, like he's one of those guys, you got a little overhang and it's 8 inches above the water, you know what I mean? And there's no way to cast up in it. And he
skips it up under there.
Oh man. Yeah. It's just, make you green. You're just like, golly. But he's very patient with it. It's cathartic for him. I think it's very soothing. And for me, I got to have some action. I'm a frog. I'm a buzzbait sort of guy. I need to be doing something. You know what I mean? And that's what I was telling you about the bow fishing part to me. The bow fishing part to me, I can couple that with another really cool passion I think is great. I grew up fishing like most people, my grandparents had catfish ponds, throw a bobber on, piece of cut bait or a worm, watch that bobber go down, and man, you reel it in and
old
whatever.
school fun stuff.
Oh man,
glory days,
the best. So I like jug fishing, and I'm like, man, there's nothing better than going out on the river and shooting some of those Asian carp, filleting them, turn them into cut bait up a bunch of jugs. By the way, the best cut bait you can use. You're doing the waterways a favor, and the catfish love them. Throw out a bunch of jugs, and then go back to bow fishing. I mean, it is awesome. It's awesome. We put out 50 jugs and gone 49 for 50, and the only reason we didn't go 50 for 50 is because we lost a jug. It was crazy. It's just so much to do. You know what I mean?
Catfish on the jugs?
Catfish, yeah.
Big ones?
Good ones.
Yeah.
Really good ones. Up to 40 pounds.
I've never seen, we've ran jugs and noodles, and I've done more noodles than I have anything.
Yeah.
Is just go and get just like the pool noodles.
Yeah.
Shove some PVC, cap it off, and then, have it a couple foot long. Yeah, it's probably 1.5 foot, but 1.5, 2 foot long or whatever. And you go and tie your old catgut line to it with that big old hook, drop it down in there, and
oh yeah,
man, it's fun. I haven't done that in forever though. Like that's one thing that made me realize yesterday, I've got to do that kind of stuff more often.
Yeah.
Like we both have young boys, and we're both like, all right, we have fun, but it's not gonna be long. We're gonna be taking them out, and those are the kind of experiences I want Vaughn and you want Oliver kind of cutting their teeth on.
I absolutely do, and that right there to me, like growing up, I grew up right out of in Lake Providence, Louisiana, and my grandfather fished and hunted at Point Lookout, which is now called Lookout Point. You know what I mean? And I grew up there. And I grew up on the Mississippi River. I grew up doing these things, and through professional pursuit and just consuming all my time, I got away from it for so long. But when I think back on growing up, I'm like, man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And so just to clarify, when I was saying jugs, I'm using noodles, but and go figure, I have a special way that I put them together.
No way.
Yeah, man. And they really work nice. I actually don't run the PVC through it from top to bottom. I actually cut out a section in the center and run a PVC through the center of it, like through the equator, if you will, and then tie off there. So they lay a certain way on top of the water. They lay flat. When you get a bite, they turn up.
And so you see them when they're turned up.
It's pretty cool.
Gotcha.
Pretty cool, man. But yeah, those memories like that, like tying trot lines with my grandfather. I've still got one, he passed away a couple of years ago, but I've got one that he and I put together a couple Christmases ago. And that was so much fun, and just that type of thing. I want my son to experience that, because I think that's the best part about living in the South and living in Louisiana is, man, 20 minutes from Monroe, or where we are in Northeast Louisiana, you could be on 20 different bodies of water, bow fishing, running trot lines, running nets, you name it, bass fishing, or just being out on the water with friends. And that's part of the beauty of where we live.
Yeah.
You can't look at this place and say what we don't have, because you could we've got so much
everywhere too, though.
You can. And, living in a big city and you can't get out of the city, and you can't go experience these type of things. And the cost barrier in Louisiana, and especially where we live, a lot of places, the barrier of entry for outdoor activity is pretty high. Mm-hmm. Here, it's just go do it.
Yeah. We have tons of places. I mean, think about even like up in Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
How many locals do you see out there doing bow hunting, turkey hunting? I mean, they all fish, but it's because it's a lot of public water. But when it comes to deer hunting, it's so expensive to deer hunt, even for the locals up there.
Yep.
It's so expensive that a lot of them, they don't do it. Or if they do, it's going to be on a buddy's ground during the doe season to get some meat and stuff like that. But here, there's so many places that you can go and hunt for free.
Oh,
I mean, like so many refuges. But when we were out there yesterday, we were driving, or we were like trolling in the boat, and then I thought it was like I saw the wing of that blue heron or that egret over there, but I saw it and I was like, is it hung up or something? And we kind of went on around, and it wasn't too far, and looked at it. And it's just a big, beautiful. I'm like, dude, I want to shoot you with this 22 and mount you or at least I wish I had my big lens to take a picture of you and frame that. Like,
that's right,
stunning. But that, and then all the different alligators, it's stuff that we look over that we're used to seeing all the time. Like when you see an alligator, you just like, okay, and go right on past it.
That's right.
But I feel like we did a pretty good job yesterday of like slowing down. Like, all right, look how pretty some of this stuff is. Like, look at that massive soft shell or that little bitty baby soft shell or whatever. Just fun stuff.
We did that, and that's the hardest thing to do a lot of times when you are exposed to it a lot, is you take it for granted. But you take somebody that's never been and they're like, oh my goodness, that's a freaking alligator. You know what I mean? And or all those sort of things. I mean, like you said, we have such an abundance here that we're almost spoiled, you know, and
we don't realize it.
We don't.
None of us realize it.
That's right, man. And we get too obsessed with what we don't have a lot of times, you know. I mean, the big Bass Lake in Texas or whatever it may be. Well, think about Bussy. I mean, what is that, the number one bass?
I think it's 3, but I mean, it's right there tit for tat for it being 1 and 2. I mean, it's so close. Yeah, I mean, we got people. You go look at Bussy. Michael Little, he fishes there. You know, he lives pretty close by it and fishes there and catches big fish all the time. But he'll pull up. I mean, it'll be, I don't know if he specifically told me this, but I know I've seen him. But he'll pull up. I know he said he's seen. A lot of the plates are out of state tags. I mean, I've seen Minnesota tags there.
Oh yeah, people
coming all over.
People enjoy it, man, and they come to us for those sort of things, you know. And man, for a lot of years, my passion was offshore fishing, you know, down out of Venice, Louisiana. And I tell people to this day, you know, I'm involved with the Louisiana Seafood Promotion and Marketing Board. I was king of Louisiana Seafood. I work with the Lieutenant Governor's Office on tourism, and I also host the Great American Seafood Cook-Off for the last 15 years and the Louisiana Seafood Cook-Off. So, like, fishing, you know, offshore especially, I was obsessed, you know, and there's no better place than Louisiana for that. And the reason being is the continental shelf comes so close to our coastline here in Louisiana that, you know, it's 7 miles out of Venice. You are in like 1,800 feet of water. You're in pelagic fish, meaning like blue marlin, tuna, you know, striped marlin. You're in those wahoo, things like that right there. Whereas like Florida, you got to go 90 miles a lot of times or more. And a lot of other places are like that. So, you know, we just have this abundance here that we do take for granted, you know, and I just love living here. I mean, I love it. I think it's just such a great place to live. And, you know, where we live is a great place to raise a family. And, you know, you get in a good church and you find a good group of people, and it's really easy to have a good time.
It is. You can cut up. You can have a really good time. Well, I'm looking forward to all the other real good, fun times. Yeah. Even us sweating through 1,000 shirts here, maybe even next week up in Kansas getting stuff ready. It's going to be this little bit of AC and fans blowing and stuff like that feels good in here. We ain't going to have that here before long up in Kansas, putting cameras. I have 20-something cameras to put out. You have a bunch of cameras too, and that's just on our place. You still got stuff on your place you got to do. And then we also what are we doing with 3,000 acres? Something is always broken too. Oh, I mean, 100%.
Let's go back to our last trip to Kansas.
No, it's not.
Nolan and myself went to Kansas with none other than Vaughn, his 3-year-old.
King Vaughn.
Yes, indeed. Threw him in the back seat and drove 10 and a half hours to Kansas with a 3-year-old. And I'm sitting here driving the whole time thinking, wow, how's this going to work out? Well, turns out it was awesome. Vaughn came back with a goatee and a job.
Yeah. And a barbed wire tattoo. He hit puberty at age 3 and grown.
He did. He was awesome, man. But we did a lot. I mean, filling up feeders, hauling grain wagons, 8,000 pounds of corn. I decided to take the screw out the bottom of a feeder when after we put 1,000 pounds of corn in it and proceeded to get, you know, I had corn in my nostrils, in my ear holes. You know, it was like, it was crazy.
How long was I up under that thing? Like, I almost have it. And you're like, dude, just drop it. We'll just go get some corn. I'm like, no, it's so close to being there. It's so close. And anyhow, we wasted 15 minutes. And finally, what do? We dropped it.
Yeah, that's right, man. It's, you know, but it's an adventure. I mean, that's what I look forward to about going up there. And like you said, we're about to head up there here in the next week or so and start setting these properties up. It you know, Kansas is like, to me, coming from Louisiana, you know, the deer are, it's not just the deer. We're going to talk about the deer, but it's being up there. It's being in the Midwest. It's, It's the pheasants. It's the quail. It's like quail everywhere. Turkeys everywhere. Pheasants, ducks, dove. It's like, wow. You know what I mean? And it's like you're unplugged. You're 10 and a half hours away. There's nothing I can do. I'm here to do this job. I'm here to focus on trying to set this property up right. I'm trying to get these jobs done. Also trying to fellowship, cut up, have a good time, pull over on the side of the road, maybe shoot some vermin, maybe shoot a badger. You know what I mean?
We're gonna keep rolling.
I meant a coon. Yeah.
It was in season.
Yeah. Those sort of things, man. I mean, the last time we were up there, we drove by a body of water that was maybe 2 acres, and it had 1,000 ducks on it.
Dude, more greenheads and pintails. I mean, it was loaded.
Yeah. So, it's just a different sort of deal than here. It's not that it's better. It's just different. Mm-hmm. The deer are a lot bigger because 90-something% of Kansas is agricultural ground, and it's a $1 state. It's expensive.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. When you go up there to hunt, and you only have one buck tag, and you can only punch one.
Oh yeah,
you're not going. I'm not saying you're not going to. If someone wants to go and they're thrilled about whatever deer, X deer, and it could be a spike. I don't care. If that's what you're excited about and it's worth it, put the smoke on him, son.
That's right.
Sling that arrow. But like for me and you and a lot of other people, I would say most people, you go up there, you're not going to want to go shoot 120, 130-inch deer. Now, if he's a 7.5-year-old deer, looks like he weighs 300 pounds.
That's right.
That's one thing. But, man, I go and you really want to go and hunt after the others, but you're determined by that, or you're pushed to do that because you know that they're around, because, as you're saying, you see them. And it's also so vast, too. You can see, like we've sat on top of hills and relatively flat terrain and look, and you see bucks forever and a day out there. And so you kind of get a pattern on them.
And the bucks act different up there, man. I mean, I've seen bucks just walking across a field, you know what I mean? Just tongue hanging out. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Deer here go underground at nighttime, in the daytime.
They don't exist, man. I mean, it's really funny. Like, you grew up watching those hunting shows where they're rattling and stuff like that. Here in Louisiana, every doe that's over 4 years old looks up at every tree they walk past, right? I mean, if you go to rattling, that means you're ready to get out of the woods, because you're not going to see deer. You know what I mean? You're just not going to do it. And it's because they're so cautious and they're so pursued. Even on ground like my ground that doesn't receive a lot of pressure, they're still very smart. You know what I mean? In the Midwest, not saying the deer aren't smart, you still have to use good scent control. You've got to be smart with your wind. But it is less forgiving because the pressure is lighter.
More forgiving? Like, Thomas, it's more.
Excuse me. Yeah. It's more forgiving because there's less pressure.
Right.
And I really do believe pressure's everything. It's everything. I mean, I sat in the stand, a place called Betty's that you actually helped me set up, and man, I had one of the best hunts I've ever had. I saw 9 different racked bucks, and I didn't shoot anything. I don't have to shoot something to have a great hunt. This was amazing. I mean, right at my feet, I've got video right at the bottom of my ladder stand, making a scrape, cutting up. I mean, just chasing and grunting. And I mean, it is amazing.
The cool thing about that, though, the place that he calls Betty's that's the first trip that we went up there. Yep. And we had had the 200 tree, the 200 pond, all this other stuff that we were focused on. And it's like it was that 482 acres grew by tenfold. It's like, where do we start? I don't even know what to do. And so we spent a few days up there, and I think we really just worked on cameras and feed. It was summer or maybe late summer.
It was. It was like the second week of July.
Something like that.
Yeah, I believe it was.
And I told you, I'm like, dude, if you don't get a stand up, you're gonna regret it. Like, you have your saddle and you can go, and that's what we talked about. Like, dude, I'll just go throw some sticks up a tree, whatever. It's fine. Like, I'll just let me put my cameras out. Let me see. I'm like, dude, you want to have one stand up. You want to have one. And you're like, well, I've got to go do this. I'm like, well, Or you're like, we got to go do this. Like, well, you do that by yourself.
Yeah.
Let me just go and there's that old stand out there that's a piece of junk. Let me just pull it off the tree. Try not to die with the ratchet straps that are going to be growing to the tree and dry rotted, which they were. But I was like, let me go and let me just drag it. Let me find another place to put it. It'll be easy. You can hunt it with a few different winds. You have an option.
Yep.
One option to hunt. And turned out that little thrown together last minute deal, that's a fruitful son of a gun when it comes to activity.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And I'll explain how this looks. It's a pod tree thicket, basically, that borders 900 acres of ag to my south that's not hunted. And then a 3,000 acre piece to the east that's right there that only has 2 hunters and its family. And then going west is our piece. And then, I mean, it's surrounded by big ground and it's got water there. It can dry up, and it was a little dry during this time of year. So I'm just saying it's kind of a convergence or pinch down of a thicket that's just in between amazing travel corridors that ended up being an amazing place to hunt. I mean, absolutely amazing place to hunt. But I feel like that's how it goes, you know, I mean, and as you learn the property, you know, and after the first year you say, man, they're traveling here, they're going there. But a lot of our initial instincts, and I was proud of this, were true. You know what I mean? Like where we put the, that southern feeder down there. I mean, that ended up being a hub, but just going and finding that bedding and watching all those deer, but going to the other side of it, there's a giant mulberry tree that we call Mufasa now that we're going to be setting up in and doing things like that. But that's the most fun about having ground like that, is having to maximize your time, having to be smart, having to use your experience, and then learning that ground year after year.
Yeah, well, and that's what you do. And the absolute very best way to do that is just being out there and just hunting. I mean, like you got to have trail cameras and stuff too, but dude, like I've told you, I've told Lamar, I've told Michael and Richard, like I feel like I've told everybody, I probably said it on here. I feel like 30%, what you see on your cameras is only like 20, maybe even 30%. And I don't look, it's not like I can prove that, but because I can't. You can, I guess, if you went out there and you had one big camera and you looked over your whole entire property, or you looked out there every day and just said, well, I saw this deer and this deer and this deer. Well, let's see how many pictures on the cameras that I got.
Yep.
Like even it's not just feed, like we got cameras on trails. We got cameras on water sources. We got, you know, even supplemental water, us going to stock tanks and stuff like that. Food plots. We got more cameras than we can shake a stick at. And I'm telling you, I still believe you only see about 20 or 30% of the overall activity.
Yeah, and camera placement is a big deal too, man, because these deer are a lot more intelligent than we give them credit for. They know something's up. They're like, well, what's that box doing? You know what I mean? And a lot of mature deer will skirt that once they notice it. You know what I mean? And it's a learned kind of response. If one deer sees a deer doing that, they're going to do the same. Yeah, they're going to do the same thing. They get maybe a little hint of danger. I don't know what it is. I've not been in a deer's brain. I've tried to get in there many a time, but
cook some of it up, filleted it
over. But you know, camera placement. And I do believe putting a camera up in a tree looking down, you know, it's not always ideal, but getting it out of their eyesight is a big deal.
Yeah.
Trying to be stealthy with it. You know, I see a lot of people stealthy, putting up awesome stands, doing a lot of things right. Access is great. And then you got a camera sitting there on a stick. You know what I mean? And I've been guilty of that myself. But as I'm refining my technique, I'm noticing if you could get it out of their eye line, you're going to get better pictures. You're going to get more activity on that camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some things like in the Midwest, like what we do with, you know, just a T-post. Those deer are so used to a T-post. They're so used to that sort of thing, you know, that it doesn't really affect them that much. But anyway, man, I don't know. I love it. It's going to be a heck of a summer trying to, you know, I've got a lot going on up there with the camp being under construction and everything else. It's a lot, but I love it. Dude,
it's fun. Well, I'm ready for you to get the restaurant done. And and I know that's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot more off your plate.
Yep. It is. And once that gets completed, you know, I'll be able to focus on the other. But but man, there's nothing like it. Fall's almost here. And I hunt 24/7, 365. I mean, it's checking cameras every day. It's something, man.
You know, and that's the thing about you. Most people don't know. Like, you have a huge social media presence. Like, you have a ton of followers. I mean, you go and you post a picture of just wood grain, and you're going to have 500 likes on it in 30 seconds. But you don't go and post your hunting content. And Paul, that's one thing that he hammers us all. How many times does he say something to you about that?
I know, man.
About Nolan, like me and you.
Oh yeah, he ribs me, you know, he does, you know, but I don't. I keep that private, man. Like those pursuits to me are almost like they're more personal than just like a grip and grin. I love a grip and grin to share amongst ourselves and our text groups that we got, and you know, all our little fun pictures we do, and our, you know, we cut up and have a good time. But that's more personal for me, you know, and than it is just for internet clout or something like that. You know what I mean? Plus, I don't want my people knowing where I'm off to. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's a big thing with you too, though. Like that's absolutely a big part of it too. You're always in town.
Yeah, always working. Always
working.
I want to bring this back just real quick, because you were talking about taking a deer. You know, maybe it's a older deer, but not, you know, that rack that you're looking for or whatever. And I got a good buddy, his name's John Files, and he is that type of deer hunter. You know, he's a very mature deer hunter, meaning, you know, like he understands deer. He's been hunting in Kansas over 20 years, but like that guy will kill a 7.5, 8.5-year-old looking deer that has a 115-inch rack and be happy like he killed a 180, 190. You know what I mean? It's about character and about achieving a goal for him. And that's what I like about, you know, hunting up there and hunting with people in general that have a passion for it, not just chasing racks. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's so interesting, and that's such a different perspective than what you're normally exposed to, because people are looking for, man, I want double split brows and double split G2s and blah, 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 and 21-inch inside spread and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to go up there and go through that and kill a 110-inch thing that's got like these big knobby wide, you know, beams and stuff like that, and looks like a cull buck to most people, but is a trophy to somebody else that really has a passion for taking mature deer. That's super cool too.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of mature deer, like on your properties and even like the 3,000 acres, whatever it is.
Yep.
What are you looking for out of a deer for it to be a shooter that you will use your one tag on?
You know, you have the ability in Kansas to do things you don't have the ability to do here. You know, lots of small properties here in this region. You know, like up there, it's a lot of big property and a lot of backup and a lot of mobility amongst the deer, and it's a one buck limit sort of situation. You can pass a deer and have a way better opportunity of seeing that deer again up there. So the goal is to get mature deer.
Yeah.
The goal is to get a 6.5-year-old deer where they've reached their pinnacle of growth, where they've reached, you know, that body, that where their chin. I mean, I was chasing a buck this year where his brisket ran into his chin. He looked like a tank. He was a beautiful, symmetrical 12-year-old, had to have been 7.5. I mean, just a monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just an absolute monster. What you're looking for. Old, short that short Roman nose, squatty. I mean, it looks like a pig on stilts.
That deer, it is tough to say a lot of times, like a 7.5-year-old deer. That deer, he had to be at least that.
Oh, my
that deer,
God.
He was, man. And like that's the thing. That's the thing for him to be so symmetrical, like to be that old. I mean, he was like gray. I mean, he looked like this lynx in a sense, but he was just so perfect, like all 12 points. It was just so symmetrical and beautiful. What do you think that deer went?
I'm thinking low 70s, mid to mid 70s.
For a deer that old?
Yeah.
And look, I get that they live older than that.
Yeah.
They live a lot longer than that. It's not like a 7.5-year-old deer is ancient walking around with a cane. Like,
I'd have loved to have seen him at 5.5.
That's what I'm saying. Like for him to still be carrying that at 7.5.
Yeah. He was man, what and smart, you know. I'd seen him in person and watch him, has just how he acted compared to other 4.5-year-old bucks, how he acted even compared to 5.5, what I thought were 5.5-year-old deer. Obviously, I mean, that's my best guess. He acted different.
Yeah. Well,
he'd been around the block.
Yeah. Well, you killed a really, really, really good deer. Actually, everybody in our group.
Yeah.
Me, you, and Michael, which I called Michael last night and I was like, dude, which is their anniversary yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, y'all, you need to come. He's like, well, I got a meeting in the morning, which also shout out Mike McVeigh. He just got an awesome opportunity at Duck Commander.
What
and
a
he's
great
like
guy.
leading the freaking pack over there. And he's killing it. Like I'm so, hope he's not listening so he knows that I'm not proud of him. But no, Michael, I'm stoked. Super happy for you.
He's a sweetheart of a guy and a great hunter and a great friend. And man, that is the best part of what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The friendships, the stories, the being proud for one another's kills or even ribbing each other for our mishaps. You know what I mean? It's that's the best. That's the beauty of this.
It is. And so I wasn't up there. You and him, y'all both killed your deer.
Yep.
Same weekend.
Yep.
I wasn't up there. I don't remember what it was. Something work related. Like I couldn't.
Go figure. Nolan working.
Yeah, go figure that. But I got to make all that money that y'all keep spending. Dang, I'm about to get my debit card back from you. But when Michael shot that deer, is morning? Yeah, it was morning time. Wasn't
it was.
So he shot it, and I think that's when you called me, and you're like, dude, Michael just shot a buck. I was like, is it the big? He's like, I don't know. We don't have signal. And I felt like it was eternity. Remember, like we were both waiting. We were calling, texting, didn't hear anything. And he's out there in no man's land with no signal.
Oh yeah.
And you finally like drove up and y'all ended up going and, deer ran no ways and went up going and recovering it.
Yeah.
But my favorite memory about all that, I'm glad y'all had a good time, but the blanket that you got him, dude. That I get cracked up at that often, thinking about him walking to the bullpen, and because you had it laid out on his bed, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Like, for him to walk in and see, like, hey, here's your welcome to the club, congratulations. It was tell us what it was.
It was like an Astro Kitty blanket, if you think about it. It's like 3 kittens wearing astronaut outfits on this like sparkly purple background, because he'd been stressing out about this hunt. He had hunted some different ground and had some challenges, so he moved to some newer ground and was successful. And man, he was so relieved. Michael was so pumped, and I bought him a little treat, and I had it laid out on his bed so he could sleep the killer sleep. You know what I mean? It was pretty funny.
He slept good after that.
He did. He had a good time, man. But just being a part of that with him and how pumped up he was about his kill and the effort that he put in, that's awesome. Whether I'd killed or not, it didn't matter because that was awesome to me.
Yeah. How do you like tinkering with things? Because that's where I was going with it a while ago. Is you're rolling your eyes like, you shouldn't have even asked that. But talking about you killed a really, really good deer and again, same thing, very short blood trail, smoked him. But based off some other does and some other things that you shot, you're like, all right, I think I may want to try my broadhead or arrow configuration up a little bit. What are your thoughts on that now versus even at the end of the season, or what are you thinking about doing?
So, you can never shoot well enough. Maybe some people can, maybe some of those big names out there can. I'm always trying to refine my draw cycle, trying to make sure that I'm taking my steps properly, that I'm not skipping anything, that I'm not rushing my shot. I still get excited like a 4-year-old. You know what I mean? And that's the hardest thing for me to do, is to manage being excited. You know what I mean? I love seeing deer. I love being in a tree. And it's crazy. And I'm sitting up there and I'm thinking, I can't believe I'm doing this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it never gets old. But just refining those things, not rushing the shot, making some decisions, and not going back on them. Like, I've decided it's a cut on contact, fixed blade broadhead for me. That's just where I'm at. You know what I mean? I shot a deer this past year in the shoulder, and I'm not going to say the name of the broadhead because they do make good things, and but I'm just
it just didn't work for you in that particular situation.
It didn't. It was an aluminum ferrule that broke off inside the RIP TKO, and I'm just like, no. So I'm shooting the QAD, the swept back.
Is it the Exodus?
Exodus, yeah. And then I've also got my iron wheels in there as well.
Yeah.
And I just believe in them. I mean, I just do. I mean, you know, I need something that's going to give me that bone breaking ability, because I can't say for certain that I'm not going to shoot that deer in the shoulder. You know what I mean? I try my best I'm not trying to be creative. I'm not trying to get a heart shot every time. I'm trying to get behind the shoulder, halfway up the body, get those lungs, those lungs and get it done. And to say that, you know, you're in a high stress situation, really a target animal walks out, you're 4 inches forward, you need to be able to break that bone. I do, at least, because I'm shooting, you know, what is that, 75-pound bow, 29-inch draw length. It's humming. It's humming. I need that kinetic energy to carry through and break that bone and get in that cavity.
Yeah.
So those are just things you learn over time and that you get comfortable with. And that's one less thing to worry about year over year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And just make that decision. I'm sticking with this.
Yep.
And
trying it for a while.
Yeah. It's just one less thing to think about.
Yeah.
You know, I do think a lot of people do need to pay attention to this. It's just like kitchen knives. I use a leather strop on my broadheads. You can shave with them, and I don't just put them in there and forget about them. Every season I strop them, and I strop them halfway through the season, you know, and it just takes a couple minutes. But I'm saying you invest all this time and money and, you know, putting those golden acorns down for these deer and doing all these things. That's something like not having a sharp knife in the kitchen. A dull knife is more dangerous in the kitchen than a sharp knife, because a sharp knife will go where you want it. And that's just like a broadhead. And it may be imperceptible, and you touch it and you think, oh yeah, that's sharp. If that broadhead won't cut a piece of paper effortlessly, it's not sharp enough, because that could be redirected. That kinetic energy can redirect that dull broadhead super easy.
Yeah.
But if it's humming and it is cut truly sharp, it's going to zip through that animal.
Yeah. And you know, that's one thing that, like I shoot the dead meats and the mega meats.
Yep.
And shot those. I've
which
had
are great broadheads.
Oh, incredible broadheads.
Yeah.
And you shot mega meats.
I killed does with it this past year.
You've had great luck with that.
What a devastating wound channel. I mean, it is like, it's horrific.
But and although it'll blow through them, that's the fun thing about all this, whether it's bow fishing or fishing in general, but specifically talking about arrow builds and like bows and broadheads and that kind of stuff. That Exodus is going to do things that some, like the mega meat will. Mm-hmm. It'll do things that the mega meat will not. And then the mega meat will do things that the Exodus will not. And so that's the fun thing about it, is like doing exactly what you said, figuring out which path, like not saying you're going to go and shoot that Exodus till kingdom come, because
right.
You're not. You're probably going to shoot it for a long time. You may, and you're going to love it. But that's the cool thing about it, is you're telling yourself, like, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to shoot this broadhead, and I'm really going to give it a shot, and like you already have, but I'm really going to stick with it and check it out. And like, that's the fun thing about the archery stuff, is you can go and see which path you really want to go down with it, and kind of tinker and toy with the stuff. Because like I said, I was about to say the much smaller wound or, you know, gaping hole of the Exodus versus some of the others. I don't know how it works, but the Exodus hole, it's only, was it 1.25 inches or inch and a half?
Yeah, I think it's inch and a half or an inch and a quarter.
Whatever it is, inch and a half, 1.25 inches, fixed blade, broadhead.
Yep.
But when that thing hits, it's bigger than 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches. It's a good bit bigger than that. And so like that is different for sure. But most of them, like most of your fixed blade broadheads, you're going to go and be like, all right, I just need something I know is going to stand up. Like that's why people shoot the iron wheels, something like that. I need something that's going to stand the test of time. I can go shoot it if I hit a deer too far forward or hit it low. I just know that I will get more penetration with it.
That's right.
And that's the cool thing about like where you are with that, is you're like, hey, I'm going against the grain. Everybody's shooting the mega meats and that's fine and they're great, or everybody's shooting the Swackers or the Rage or whatever it is. That's great. But for me personally, I want to try this, and I'm going to stick with it for a little while.
Yeah, and not everything works for everybody, you know, and it's all about, like, just like you're fishing, you know, you got to have confidence in the bait you're using. I got confidence in these broadheads that they're a little bit more forgiving for me. But, you know, going back to that, I mean, you know, like we were talking about iron wheels, and this is not an advertisement for iron wheel, but I will say, you know, I have bent an iron wheel before, maybe through an errant shot. you know,
may or may not.
Yeah, and they sent me a brand new one. You
That's
know,
awesome.
no questions asked. So I know they're expensive, but you know that's a great broadhead, and certainly Richard put me onto these QAD Exodus, and that's what I killed my deer with this year. And man, it did the trick. And I'm a big believer in that broadhead. You know, and that going back to you know talking about Richard and Michael and those guys at the shop. Man, that feels like family when you go in there. When you go in a spotted dog, and it makes me feel great about going in there. I'll go in there and spend 2-3 hours, and they'll work with you on your shot, and you know just talking and fellowship and things like that. Man, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a real resource we have in our community. Having those guys there that'll share that knowledge and take the time. And I've watched them countless times being in there. You know, working with guys on their shot process, working with guys on, and they're not always trying to sell you the most expensive thing. That's the other thing. Being business owners, they're not trying to upsell. They're trying to get you what you want in your price range and put you in something that you're comfortable with. And they're not going to let you walk out the door without that thing being dialed in.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's the cool thing. And that is, there's no other Bowtechs around that do that, archery shop owners or whatever that work on bows. We have some good ones around.
Yeah.
There's none that come, and even they'll tell you too, they're the prime, premium guys. That's
they are,
them.
and we do have some other great guys around here in this region that have helped me out, and man, I'm so appreciative of it. But it's just a little bit different. These guys take a little bit more time, and they're equally as passionate about you getting out there and taking that piece of equipment that you bought from them and putting it to good use. Mm-hmm. So when you couple that with like their time that they take with everybody, it's a different sort of experience.
Yeah, we FaceTimed Richard yesterday. I was like, you and Michael said, y'all look. And we went, put the fish back in the water, and it was going to swim off. I was like, oh, because you didn't hear me when I said I was going to FaceTime Richard. So I'm like pulling my phone. We're just so excited and everything else. So you go and you're putting this monstrosity of a fish back in the water. And then I go and I get my phone, and I'm like, oh, so let's grab it. I said, hold it. We're going to FaceTime Richard. And you didn't hear me. And you put it back in there. I think you looked back at me, put my phone back up. You're like, oh, do you want another picture? I was like, I was going to FaceTime Richard, but it's all right. And dude, he was more excited than what you were when you shot that thing. Like,
he was.
Him
man.
and Michael, dude, they're awesome to work with. And yeah, not everybody is going to be able to take their bows. I mean, we have people listening from here from forever, not from here, not from Northeast Louisiana. And they're not going to hop in a plane or in their car and drive what feels like days just to get their bow worked on, because there's other just as good pro shops in probably their areas. But no, they're awesome. They're great people.
And I know we've been talking about archery a lot. I mean, I grew up gun hunting, and I hadn't picked up a gun to kill a deer, and I can't tell you how long. And it's not because I'm too good for it, because I still, I love guns in general. We're always building something, tinkering with something. I always wanted a really good 410, so I've got one coming. Never had one as a kid growing up, so it's kind of this nostalgic thing. But there's just that challenge about killing a deer with a bow.
Mm-hmm. It's tough.
It is tough. And you could say, some guys may be listening and go, oh, it's not tough for me. I knock them down. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
It's
well, especially like relative to a rifle.
Yeah.
Not knocking that at all. Different strokes for different folks. But it is, and there's no doubt it is a different experience.
It is.
When you're sitting up in a lock-on or a saddle, which you got this past year, we'll talk about here in a second. But when you're sitting there and you just hear something and you kind of slowly pan and peek around.
Yep.
And if it's just a doe, it don't matter. I mean, you look and you're seeing the smoke coming out of his nose of us breathing that cold, fresh morning air, and this kind of walks just right up under you, and you get to watch it. Whether you're going to shoot it or not, it's awesome being that close and just being hidden. Like
that's right.
It's fun. It's really, really fun.
I think that's part of the attraction for me too, or maybe the major part of the attraction is being more exposed in nature out versus sitting in a box. Now, don't get me wrong. I got some nice box stands on my place here and things like that, but if you gave me an option to do one thing or the other for the rest of my life, I'm going to be sitting in a ladder or a lock on or up in that saddle with a bow for as long as I can do it, chasing deer.
What do you think about the saddle? Because you haven't had it very long.
I haven't had it very long, and that's the dangerous part about being your friend. You've always got some new gadget that I need. But this past year, we were hanging some stands out on my place, and you whooped this saddle out, and you scurried up that tree. And, you know, the challenging part about putting up, and as we get old, I'm a little older than you. I'll be 49 in September. You know, I feel like I'm as steady as I've always been, but man, I fell out of a tree stand a couple of years ago. Thankfully, I didn't get seriously injured.
You fell a long ways too.
I did. I was 20 foot up a tree.
How you walked, that still blows my mind. I forgot about that. Like, I don't think about that often, but how you walked away from that.
Yeah, man. Pretty lucky. God was looking down on me that day. But I'll tell you this, man, watching you, because the challenge is getting the sticks up, getting your rope up, getting yourself secure traditionally, you know, with the harness and everything.
Only having two hands.
And only having two hands. And hanging lock-ons, man. And I'm telling you, if you don't get a saddle for anything else and you're not going to hunt it, get it for hanging lock-ons, because you've never felt so secure. You've got two hands to work with. You're connected to the tree the whole time while you're putting up the sticks to all the way to putting up your safety rope. You know, and you can, I used it as my harness, you know, and lock-ons, because I felt more secure.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I felt like, man, I'm attached to this tree way better than I was with that traditional hunter safety systems, you know, harness. I felt better about it.
Yeah, I do too. I love wearing mine. Like, it's so light. I have the little bit bigger pockets on mine. Like, I'll rappel down. So if I'm not doing that, I have the bigger pockets. And so a lot of times that can kind of get in the way. I'm going to have to undo those and take them off.
Yep.
But that, it feels like you're wearing nothing.
It does. It does. And you have a freedom of motion that you don't normally have.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, you guys out there that like to hang lock-ons and hang a lot of stands and things like that. And I know a lot of guys that don't use, you know, the proper safety techniques and things like that. And I get it. And you haven't had a mistake yet. You know what I mean? I don't know. I can't say enough about it. I think it's the way to go.
What did you think when you were falling down out of that tree? Do you even remember?
Yeah, and I can't say it on here. No, man. It was just a mistake on my behalf, and man, it could have ended my life. I mean, it could have paralyzed me. It could have done a lot of things, and I'm just telling you, I'm really, really cautious. I'm not scared now, but I'm cautious, and I'm aware of what can happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to talk about the consequences of falling out of a tree or what could happen having never experienced it. But once you've experienced it, you don't want to do that again. And, you know, I take precautions. I do. And I like to go in the woods. I know a lot of guys like to be out there by themselves. And I like to go in the woods and hang stands with you or other friends or people like that, because you don't know what can happen.
Yeah. Well, it's also, you got your safety reasons, but it's more fun doing that stuff together. I mean, like going and us cutting up and doing crap. Like we get a lot of stuff done. Get a lot of stuff done. Very productive. We tear a lot of crap up.
Yes, we break a lot of things.
I had Lamar. If you're listening, I'm sorry, dude. Let me tell you, I have no idea how some of the stuff that I'm gonna say. He's freaking awesome. I love him. He's one of my favorite people ever. It's just crap just happens.
Oh, it does, man. It does. There's nothing like, you know, you got to have a repair budget in mind when you go off on these trips.
That's what we got Lamar for. Lamar, thank you for being our repair budget.
Yeah, Lamar's a great guy.
I was passing by an F-250 the other day, you know, and he lives an hour and a half away from here over in Lake Providence, but I was driving right there by Christ Church in Sterlington. So a little shout out to Mario and that group out there. But I was driving by, and I'm talking about right there when I passed that and had a Claudetti's restaurant right there on my right. Yep. A F-250 passed me, pulling a trailer, like probably 18 or 20 foot trailer, had some farm stuff like irrigation pipe and things like that. And I looked and I was like, that might be Lamar. And it didn't have that hole in the back tailgate from where that fertilizer buggy I was pulling when the hitch broke and shoved a taco size hole through the back brand new F-250. So I saw that and I was like, that's not him. He still got a hole. He still got a hole. Brand new F-250.
I can't believe he keeps you as a son-in-law. What a night. What an angel.
That shows you how good of a guy he is.
What an angel, man. What an angel. So what else we need to talk about? Let's talk about this little knife right here, man. This is cool.
Yep. So Zach Poole, who he's been on here a couple times.
That's Raptor P, right?
Raptor P custom knives. Yep. So we sell them at Spotted Dog, and then but he's into the Western. It's sharp.
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy sharp. But
see, even though it's sharp out of here, I'm gonna put that on a strop with some stropping compound and get it like crazy.
Next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I know he's been wanting to meet you. Like me and Jacqueline brought him and his wife, and it's hard to clip in. Like, which he has it like that. He's like, man,
because he doesn't want it to fall out, right?
Yeah, like you put it on your binding harness or whatever. And we talk about all that. But we took him to Parish for the first time just a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, dude, I've got to meet Cory. Like, I want to talk knives with him. Because that's the big thing that both y'all have, and hunting too, and shooting bows and stuff. But he's like, I want to meet him, but. I went by there this morning. He's like, come by. He's like, I got something for you to take to Cory.
Yeah.
And so I went by and picked it up. But that is what he is going to call the hitch.
Yep.
So what he makes now is just the like Western type knives. So the fixed blade, he has some folders too, but a lot of fixed blades and, some of the folders, the bull cutters, all the different points. I don't even know really what they are. But they're beautiful knives. And it's like what you see your cowboys wear with the little leather sheath like sideways on the belt. That's what it is.
Them fancy knives.
Them fancy knives. Yeah, I mean, dude, they're expensive. Like the ones he makes and he sells out of them. He does a drop every Friday.
Yep.
And they're $250 to $450 knives, if I remember correctly. And he does 6 to 8. And I mean, talking about Friday, like when we went to TAC, he posted them that Friday. Maybe by 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, something like that. He posted, probably 1 or 2 o'clock, he posted it. 10 or 11 o'clock that night, they were all sold. And it's like that every Friday.
That's amazing. Congratulations to him.
Incredible. But I told him, I was like, man, because he already had one made, and he's like, let me know what you think. I was like, dude, that is a much cheaper. You have less time with it because you're not doing all the other fancy stuff. And I said, you're Cerakoting these, but dude, just get us a really good outdoor knife, like a bino harness, like a bino pack, or put it on if you're elk hunting in your backpack, you can go and just, it has called the uni, or is it uni clip? Is that what it's called?
It's
like a beltless.
It's an ulti clip, but that's what I was going to describe the knife for you guys out there that are watching this. So this is a single piece. It's got some perforations. It's got some notching back here for grip. The blade looks like it's about 2 inches. It's super ultra light. The perforations, like for somebody like me, I'd probably put a snake knot on the end with a little lanyard to pull out.
He's going to do that and didn't have any orange D. He does it with D-loop.
Oh, okay.
And so he...
you could also wrap the handle, if you wanted to. So it's customizable, and it's got a Kydex sheath that is super tight. And then this ulti clip, this thing is hardcore. Like, it snaps in there. So I could see this going on the bino harness for a lot of different reasons. You always need a knife in the woods, I believe. But especially when you're hanging stands and stuff like that, you get in a bind, you need to cut yourself down. This would be something great, and it's secure. It's light.
Put it on your saddle.
Yeah, put it on your saddle and just keep it. Keep it in there. That's a great thing. He's doing a good service with that.
So but he hand makes all of his stuff like that. He handmade that. The only thing, and this is coming, the only thing that he has not done yet, but he's ordered the stuff to do it, is the Cerakoting. He will be Cerakoting themselves, and then everything will be done by him. But
nice.
But yeah, he goes. I don't remember you would know the name of the steel. I don't remember, but it's a really high quality steel. They're going to be priced like $150 to $160. We're going to have them on our website, Spotted Dog. So here very soon we'll make a social media drop or a post, and y'all can go and see when we have some. But he's making them. They're handmade here, right here in West Monroe.
It's got a great warranty from what I understand.
Full lifetime warranty.
So that's what I'm saying. You could spend the $150, $160 on buying a big box brand, that's got a okay warranty or whatever, or you can spend the same money and get yourself something that's handmade and that, helps the local economy, but it has a great warranty because, like we were talking about earlier, we like to tear stuff up.
We love to tear stuff up. So, but he's doing them all different colors. The ones I think we've shown on here every time have been orange, which that's going to be I feel like most people will probably want the orange, like most hunters.
Oh,
it's going to be easy to see. With it being a $150 to $160 knife, say something happens and you're using it and you're cutting something and you drop it. The sheath's not coming unclipped from anything. But if you drop the knife, you don't want to lose that knife. So
that's right. You want to be able to see it.
He's got different colors. He's going to be matching the bows. So like Hoyt,
nice.
Matthews, all your different like PSEs, he'll be able to go and color match your bow. So if you have a Tombstone Hoyt, like I do, you can get it to match that perfectly. So he can do all kind of.
Man, we're so spoiled. We're so spoiled. Imagine taking a modern bow that we have right now and giving it to like a caveman, like a Neanderthal. You know what I mean? Those guys are out there with those they're pulling 160 pounds on a stick bow or something like that.
Stuff would have been extinct a long time before it did.
I'm telling you, man, we got it made right now with all these great sights and these strings and all these things, and it's just so nice to have this equipment,
Yeah, it is. This is completely out of left field. But have you listened to the relatively recent Joe Rogan podcast where they were talking about I don't remember, essentially they are cloning mammoths and like dire wolves.
Really?
Have you not heard that?
I've heard something about the dire wolves have been revitalized, or they've some
done
lab
it
in Texas, maybe.
I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
But they have replicated the dire wolf.
Oh my goodness.
And like there's other things that they are wanting to do.
Let's throw it back to the old first Jurassic Park. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm so mixed when it comes to that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If they're going to clone a T-Rex or whatever and release it and have a hunting season on it, I'm going to go chase one with my bow if I could.
Dude, I couldn't hardly get that arrow to go through one of them carp yesterday. Much less a 20,000 pound T-Rex or whatever they weigh.
Maybe we do the miniature ones or something, something smaller, but that would be pretty interesting. I don't know, man. I think a lot of things we're doing right now as human beings are just, we need to ask ourselves that question. Should we do this? Should we do this? But who knows, man.
That's like when you shot that bass and that crappie yesterday. Should I do this?
Oh, get out of here, man.
I'm joking. He did not shoot a bass or crappie. I'm just pulling his leg.
I was having to get on him about that.
I was trying to catch one with a rod and reel before you got out there. I caught two. And look, as soon as that aerator pump kicked on after we shot that first fish, I was like, yep, you're all going back in the water. It was too hot. And I was like, you're going to die if you stay in there. And they were small, but I was like, shoot, I'll fillet you bad boys.
That's the other thing. Speaking of filleting and all that, man, the side benefit, if not the most important benefit of what we do as sportsmen, is, consuming these animals that we kill. How cool is that, man? I've got a 3.5-year-old that eats deer meat probably 2 times a week, if not 3 times a week, and loves it. And going back to my father-in-law, David, he's always, there's a fish fry once a week. We're eating perch or bass or something like that. I mean, how cool is that? Especially when you live in a time right now where we're finally starting to pay attention to the things that are wrong with our foodways here in America, whether it be, there are problems, whether people want to admit it or not. Right. Things that kill weeds the way they do, things that have a way to find their way into our food and into our bodies that affect our endocrine systems and things like that. Those are not things we need to be consuming. Mm-mm. Let me just tell you. We don't need to be doing that. You know what I mean? We need to be taking precautions with what we eat because, man, we're only here for a short period of time. And, we want to be as healthy as we can for as long as we possibly can. And don't get me wrong, I'll throw down on a bowl of cereal as fast as anybody else. But I'm definitely more conscientious about what I'm putting in my body, my wife especially. And the benefits are there. So eat good food and eat the food, go out there and catch the food and eat the food that you catch and kill. And those things are important, man, and put it to good use.
What are some things you do like at your restaurant specifically? Like it's incredible tasting food, but I've been in there on the phone calls of you talking with your team about, well, let's go and try cooking it in this, like the beef tallow. I don't remember what detail, but you were talking with them about that here a little while back. Like
right.
That, and even outside of that, what are some things that us as hunters, we can do, like deer steak, for example. We all love deer steak, but there are better alternatives. Look, frying deer steak is great, but like vegetable oil, that's terrible for you.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for just a second. It's not that the vegetable oil is and we'll talk about seed oils real quick. And I'm no scientist, but I can tell you this is how I understand it. Seeds in general have a natural toxicity to them because they don't want you to consume them themselves. They want to be moved to other places to propagate. That's their natural defense mechanism. Now, that's number one. That's an issue, right? Number two, it's how it's processed is a big issue. And petroleum products are used in it and things like that. So seed oils necessarily can be not all bad for you if they're cold pressed. It depends on how they're handled. It's like anything else. You know what I mean? A buffalo rib, a buffalo carp, if you trim it properly, is one of the best things in the world. But if you leave some of that fat on there, it'll make
it'll run you out of the kitchen.
Yeah, I got goosebumps thinking about it right now, making me nauseous. Just that memory of having that. So it's how you handle it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, if you can, like we fry our fish in lard. Boy, that tastes good.
Really?
I'm telling you, that's slamming good. You know, frying potato chips or French fries or in beef tallow or lard or a combination of those things, freaking amazing. You know what I mean? Fat is delicious and it's good for you. You know, you almost can't eat enough natural meat. You know, you almost can't over-consume it. And that's one of the beautiful things about what we do as hunters, as fishermen, as all that, is harvesting those things and putting them to good use, putting them in our body. You know, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, eating those natural foods. I mean, we got so many great resources around here. We got so many great farmers, so many great farmers markets. And, you know, not to say you got to be perfect all the time, but certainly trying to put good things in your body is the way forward in life.
So, you know, I think it's Indian Village, the place out in West Monroe that have the strawberries.
Yep.
And stuff. Okay. So one of Jacqueline's friends went and got some. They went and picked strawberries. And they brought this little small white bucket. And I wish it would have been 20 times its size because I was like, kids, y'all ain't eating them. Like Ren, she just turned 1, our little girl, and I mean, she was whooping them down. She's trying to eat the little leaves on it. They were so good. But dude, we had those, and then we had strawberries from I think they were from Brookshire's or Walmart. I don't know, but of course, like they say, you know, organically grown, all this other stuff. They're much more expensive than the regular strawberries that you can get. The difference in taste in those, like even the quote unquote good, beautiful, organic, healthy strawberries from Brookshire's or wherever it was, you cut them open with that Rafter P Hitch custom knife.
That's it.
You cut it open, and it's like the color of my hand. It's like it's white.
Yeah. See, the problem is well, here's the thing. When you pick a peach from a tree and you eat that peach, you're tasting the sunshine. You know what I mean? It's still got life to it.
Yeah.
But when you go to a grocery store and you buy something that was picked and they may have USDA certified organic on it, blah, 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 but it was raised in California and it's been in cold storage for 2 weeks and it loses that sunshine. It loses that light. And I'm not saying don't eat it. You know what I mean? If you want to eat a strawberry, eat a strawberry.
It's still better than Cocoa Puffs.
It's way better than Cocoa Puffs. But if you want to eat a great strawberry, eat it in season. And follow the seasons, you know what I mean? Because you've always got something coming in here in Louisiana. It's like, you know, you begin the year with strawberries and citrus season. Wow, amazing in Louisiana. Whether it be our mandarins, AKA satsumas, to our navel oranges and our grapefruits here in Louisiana, moving into strawberries, then moving into blueberries, blackberries, dewberries, peaches, figs, tomatoes, squash, you know, all those sort of things. There's always something. Peas, come on. You know what I mean? And you've always got this something new going on. So move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? And eat what's in season and try to follow those seasons as best as possible, especially with all the great farmers markets we have around. And for you guys listening out there, I mean, it's the same, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely try to find from a farmer's market. I mean, it's great to support local. It absolutely is. But dude, the taste difference between going out and getting one of those Indian Village strawberries.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, dude! I've not had a strawberry like that in years.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was incredible. Something else is incredible. You just said satsuma. So you have you do things with whatever's in season, y'all going to do at your restaurant, which is super cool. And that's one of the popular things that y'all do there that everybody loves is like that revolving kind of menu or whatever. But you have the Satsuma Old Fashioned.
Mojito.
Was it the mojito? What did you have? Didn't you have last year? You had some kind of Old Fashioned that was...
Yeah, we did do a Satsuma. That was last year. We did a Satsuma Old Fashioned. But using what's in season is so much better, dude.
It was so good.
It's so much better. I mean, it's just, it tastes... Okay, so if you eat a strawberry that's been in the refrigerator, come from a big box store, it's one note. It's kind of sour. It's a little bit sweet. It's okay. You know what I mean? But you go pick one out of my garden right now at the restaurant, it's got like layer upon layer of flavor, and you can taste the sunshine in it. And I'm not just over here talking bull. I mean, it's like, it's a real thing.
Yeah, that sounds crazy, tasting the sunshine. I'm going to go outside and
yeah, and or you go, these peaches I got on my trees, man, I mean, they are consistent, what I call elbow lickers. You know what I mean?
Yep,
you bite into it, and it's running down your arm, down your elbow. There is something about that is more special than anything else in the world. And, we can kind of make a full circle on this. My grandfather, I was talking about being raised by my grandparents, and my grandmother was an incredible cook, and so was my grandfather. I mean, incredible, but he was kind of the camp cook, and I had I got the big cast iron pot of his, and the whole 9 yards, and frying fish and all that sort of stuff. But the camaraderie that was shared around the fire, cooking fish, drinking maybe one or two beers, things like that. That's what inspired me to get in the hospitality world and stay with it, because it felt like what I was raised with. You know what I mean? And to get back into hunting over the years like I have, and to be more into fellowship that way, and man, it's like a full circle moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all so special.
Yeah.
And I think I have such a greater appreciation of life, greater appreciation of family, a greater appreciation of friends. I wouldn't trade that life for anything in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're talking about it like that we did yesterday. That's why I told you, I was like, man, why don't we do this more often?
Yeah.
Like this, it feels like we're stepping back in time.
Yep.
That like we both still had to check these. Like we were still unfortunately getting work done. Like so much of our work is done on that. Like just with the type of stuff, which is completely different, but type of stuff we do. But it was nice being able just to take a step back and like really just, we're looking for fish, but we're just like chilling. Like
That's right.
There was many stretches we weren't talking to each other, and like that was great. Like not talking, just chilling, just enjoying being out there with somebody else. But that makes, like, we did that. But also you're talking about your granddad just then. That makes me think about my papa. It's my mom's dad, and old Papa White. And I need to call him. Matter of fact, I need to call him and my nanny when I leave here. But incredible Vietnam vet.
Yeah,
that son of a gun is as muscled and meaty as you've ever seen. He would hurt you.
Yeah.
He would.
Those old hard men, man, they had to do hard things.
They absolutely did. But we used to go to Kisatchie over there, like right outside Bernice, Louisiana, and we'd go over there, and he had a pop-up tent. Oh, I'm sorry, a pop-up camper. And, it just had the little ends that would slide out. It wasn't hardly much longer than this table, it felt like.
That's
and it would
right.
turn into what, as a kid, felt like a castle. But I've never liked coffee, but I always loved smelling it, because we'd go over there squirrel hunting, and that was the thing. And, dude, it was freaking awesome. Like, you'd wake up in the morning. I'm a kid. And so, me not wanting to get up. Once I woke up, I was excited, but kids typically don't want to just wake up, at 4:30 in the morning. But all them old guys, they wasn't old then, but that's what they wanted to do. They'd wake up early, and whether it was hot or cold, they'd make some coffee. And it was it has a different name. I almost want to call it like a defibrillator, and it's not that. What's the...
A percolator?
Percolator, yes. I knew it wasn't a defibrillator, but like the...
You drink enough coffee, you'd need a defibrillator.
but had and they all look the same. It's the old silver one. They all look the exact same, but they had a few of them, and they'd go and they'd make pots and pots and pots. And I mean, it's like you'd spend 2 or 3 hours squirrel hunting in the morning time, but you spent 3 or 4 hours pre-daylight, with it still being dark, sitting around a campfire. They'd go remake a fire. Somebody would go and put some potatoes in the disc, like a big tractor disc. They don't weld it up on the bottom and on like a propane stand. and put a little bit of oil down in there. It's probably vegetable oil. It's probably why we're all dying.
That's Wesson oil, baby.
Or the Great Value, whatever was the cheapest, whether it was vegetable oil or not, it was whatever was cheapest.
That's right.
Pour a little bit in there with the potatoes and the onions, and you just put it all in layers, then do your bacon and do your sausage, and you're doing it in different parts of this disc, and then you put your eggs in there and just mix it all together.
That's right.
And dude, let me tell you, those smells, it's like when you, that's the famous thing people have to say is when they smell what their cafeteria used to smell like, or the library at their school or the classroom or whatever. When I'm cooking stuff at the house, sometimes I get it's like I didn't even smell. It's like I smelled it, but I didn't. It's not there. It's just like a memory of a smell. And I smell something it reminds me of that. I'm like, dude, we've got to slow down and doing the stuff that we're doing, and we're having fun and it's great and all, but we've got to slow down and go back and just to do some of that stuff again.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is smell activating your memories, and there is no more powerful force in my world than the sense of smell. And that connectedness you feel to a time and a place and to people that you are with, being brought back by the smell of coffee, being brought back by the smell of, like, how water smells, it smells like fish, and things like that. And thinking about, running trot lines with my grandfather, or the smell of diesel, or those sort of things, or how a campfire, like that sort of connection, I believe, brings you back to the past, to those people. Maybe you've lost them, or it helps transport you back in time to a place where you were happy, you know what I mean? Or a happy time in your life that meant something, you know what I mean? And you're right. It's a reminder. I think it's nature's way to remind you to, like, hey, let's try not to go too fast here. Let's take this in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're not guaranteed the next fishing trip. We're not guaranteed anything. And that's what I feel like these things, they're great. You get a lot done,
right? Things
like that. But I feel like life right now is almost built to race through it. You know what I mean? We're so connected. We're in the expectations that we place on ourselves to be productive all the time and to be moving forward all the time. I mean, only in the last couple of years I used to change the menu 3 or 4 times a week. I don't really do that anymore. I give it time to soak in. I give it time for the crew to learn it well. And I give myself the space to not have to be there all the time either, which makes me a better person, makes me a happier person, because I'm able to do those things with you. And, I had kind of a scare a couple of weeks ago with some really high blood pressure. I've been doing the things that are needed to check it all out. Fortunately, it's leveled off. But, like, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I have to slow down, and I have to take care of myself, and I have to do these things. And what I'm trying to say is, we as outdoorsmen, we as just men in general, have to be appreciative of the opportunities we have in front of us to go and do these things that we're doing that bring us joy. But we've got to slow down enough to let it be meaningful. You know what I mean? We don't do that. We just rush through. It's just, everything is a deadline. Everything is 4 meetings today and 3 meetings tomorrow and all that. And I'm learning to say no to things that I wouldn't have said no to in the past. And they're money-making opportunities. They are, they're opportunities to get notoriety. I've turned down multiple TV shows, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm saying I like being at home. I'm saying I'd rather be at the restaurant. I'm saying I'd rather be out on the water with you. I'm saying I'd rather be in the truck driving 10 and a half hours to Kansas rather than trying to put another feather in my cap, because that's not going to matter. I'm not going to be on my deathbed, or I'm not going to be 85, unable to pull a bow back, wishing I would have gone to work. I'm going to be wishing I'd have gone on that hunting trip and when I was 60-something and could pull a bow back, or, able to do it.
Yeah, and there's 2 parts to it. Like, I think it's a great thing to be selfish, to want to have those, and just bear with me, but to have those moments for yourself.
Yeah.
To let your tank be filled. It's hard to pour somebody a drink from a cup that's empty. And so I think
Great
that
analogy.
part and being selfish is good to some degree, but like I keep thinking, like, a while ago, like my eyes started tearing up. I was like, dude, I'm ready. Like Vaughn's getting to the age now, but I'm like, I want Vaughn. Like I'm going to make sure Vaughn has those memories that I had growing up, because people like the things that his granddads do, which are incredible. It is different than the things that my granddad and them did. And so Vaughn, he's not gonna get the same experiences that I did from grandparents, and that's fine. But I want to make sure he gets some of those. And I remember we were running yo-yos. How many people run yo-yos these days?
They don't, man.
That's all we used to do.
I know.
All we used to do is go run them the little white fishers, run the yo-yos. But man, I remember going and being, I don't remember how old, but I wasn't 3 like Vaughn. I was older. I know I had been older than that, but I wasn't much older. 7, 8. And we were out there, I think at the Horseshoe in Jones, I think is where we were. Pretty sure. It don't matter. We were on a body of water, and it was private ground, and water's public. We were on private ground. We were camping, and I don't remember what time. Again, didn't have a phone, no watch, anything like that. I just know it was dark, and everybody was asleep around you're sitting in chairs, sitting around the campfire. You're sitting in an old chair, just kind of like leaned back like this, waking up. That's why we all have neck problems and back problems these days. But I remember waking up and like hearing something and looking, and there's a raccoon, and walked up. And that coon went and got into our little bag. And I remember, I hope this is not just a memory that I just made up, but I'm telling you, I feel like it was just a white, like powdered donut is what it had. I remember there's other stuff in there. And I remember sitting there, I don't remember how long, but I remember just watching that coon. I wasn't me to you from it. I was a little ways away. I was on the other side of the fire by the ice chest or whatever. But I remember watching it. I'm like, how freaking cool is that? Yeah. You're sitting out there, everybody's asleep. There's probably 100 crappie or bass or catfish or whatever else on the yo-yos, but everybody done fell asleep in the wee hours of the night around a fire, and you're sitting there and it's quiet. You're just listening, and there's a freaking coon eating out of your bag.
You got that bandito rolled up.
Bandito, son. But like it's those kind of things. I'm like, all right, that yesterday, and even like this conversation, man, it makes me just want to just take a step back and just really, really, really just focus on making the most of this life that we have.
And it's a blessing, man. I mean, taking it back to what we were saying is like growing up, going back to these memories, trapping with my grandfather, I don't think people trap anymore nowadays. I don't know anybody that does, but I would go get magic leaves to put over it, and man, it was just, so he made sure that I had a great time. And that's why, that's what I'm going to do with my son. I mean, he'll be 4, and he's born on September the 30th, right? The day before opening here in Louisiana. What a cool deal for deer season, that is. What a cool deal when he gets a little bit older. I mean, something to look forward to.
That's his birthday.
Oh, man.
You're going to be buying so many bows and stuff like that.
And I'm going to love it. But that is that is a real big goal for me, and to make sure that I've secured a future for him in the outdoors as much as I can, to connect and to not have to feel like all the pressure of succeeding and all these other things that the outside world puts on you. Success is different from person to person. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be all monetary. It doesn't have to be all notoriety. You can experience success. And like we did yesterday, we experienced a lot of success. And whether it was just through fellowship or shooting a fish or whatever it was good. And that's what I think, instilling in our boys is this is a good place to be. This is a good place to live. And I think a lot of people, and we've talked about it before, they talk negatively about where we live, and it's only because they don't get out there and try to experience it. Mm-hmm. You can live a full life anywhere. It just depends on how open your eyes are.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about this, there really is so much to offer. This is not a sales pitch Friday. This is not just we're throwing a sales pitch together for you here from Monroe, but I mean, we really do. We have a lot to offer.
We got a lot to offer and a lot more coming.
And it's easy, like that bow fishing thing. Dude, I'm 30 years old or 31, and I've never bow fished.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I've shot them with bows before, but that's running out in like the Mollicy unit up in Beekman, like Upper Ouachita, and just some backwater of the bean fields. Me and my buddies, Cory McLaren, Tyler Jones, like whoever else, we're freaking running around shooting them with our parents. They're up there on the levee watching us. We're shooting buffalo or carp. I don't even remember, just shooting fish in like, to us at the time, 10, 12 years old, knee-deep water, and shooting the fish, and with hunting bows, like what we bow hunted with, 10, 12 years old. and running out there, the arrow running like this, and us chasing them through trying to grab it. Like, how dumb? But like,
how much fun? Though.
Incredible. Like, I've done that, but man, you saw what you haven't saw it, but I went and got Michael Little's bow yesterday for us to go and to do that. Well, I have Jacqueline's bow out there now, and I bought it for her. It's the one of the Matthews mission bows forever ago. And it's got the pink stuff on it and all that. But you better believe when we get done here, your boy's headed down to Spotted Dog, and I'm about to go, and I'm going to check, make sure the strings and stuff's good. I'm going to get it adjusted for me. Yeah. I'm about to put a reel on that thing. Point of saying all that, it's for all the stuff that we do that costs an arm and a leg.
Yep.
Something as simple as getting a John boat with a trolling motor and just turning it on low. Also, you want to have it on low. You turn that, like if you have a 24 volt, 80 pound Ultrex and you have it on above past like 2.5, you're going to scare your fish off. You ain't getting close to them.
They're spooky.
That's spooky. But you're talking about a cheap boat, John boat, kayak. Well, you don't do a kayak, but John boat, trolling motor, and a old boat that you had, and just put a 50. I don't even know how much they cost. A reel. They can't be that much.
They're not. Just put your old Zebco on there.
Yeah, just put you something like that on there, and then go out and have fun and like take advantage of the opportunities that we have. We got Darbone. Dude, Darbone is Stowe Creek is 15, 16, 17, whatever minutes from my house. A little over 15 minutes from my house. I can have if it's me by myself, I can be at Stowe Creek and have my boat in the water, and I could be sitting behind the steering wheel in 25 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's part of the gift of where we live, you know.
Why don't me and Vaughn go, or me, you, Vaughn, and Oliver? Why don't we go out there and run yo-yos or go fishing in the afternoon time? Like, why don't we do that stuff more often?
Yeah, I mean,
just get caught up.
I don't know many people that do go frogging. I don't know many people that go trapping. I mean, for me, it's like I saw turkeys for the first time on my ground. I got some ground a little north of town.
It's exciting.
Crossing the road, and I'm thinking, my goodness, man, the coon population is out of control. Why don't I start trapping coons? Just for nuisance abatement. You know what I mean? Because if we ever hope to have, they are a major problem when it comes to breaking up nests and, eating the poults and all that sort of stuff. So, just doing those sort of things, always having something to do that way where it doesn't become work. You do it when you want to, but it's just like, go run you a trap line. You know what I mean? How cool is that? That is really, really cool. I don't know many people that do it anymore, but it's a fun pastime, and there's always something to be done. There's always something to go have fun with. There's always something to cook. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to go throw a coon in a pressure cooker. I don't believe, man, but who knows?
Well, something before we get done, we'll get ready and wrap it up here pretty quick. But we talked about the 22. Yeah. Like our pistol. We talked about. You asked me yesterday, like, hey, what? Just randomly out of the blue, you're like, what's your favorite gun? If you had one gun to own, what's like your most fun?
Oh yeah.
And so getting that, but after that, I want to talk about some of everybody that's listening to this, like, dude, you've got to give us some kind of recipe, or at least tell us something about cooking. Yeah. We'll go into that after with deer meat or duck or whatever else. But you asked me my favorite gun, and I told you, and we talked about that. But tell us, what is your favorite, most fun gun that you have?
So I love a 1022. I absolutely love it. They're inexpensive to shoot. They're fun. Anybody can shoot them. No recoil, and you suppress them, and, you can do all kinds of fun things with them. But I've got a FN Herstal 509. That's the 22. It's on like a 1911 frame or something like that. With I got a Sparrow suppressor on it. A Trigicon.
Sounds like a Sparrow.
Yeah, and a Trigicon RMR. But that thing is amazing, and it's just so much fun to shoot. And you get out there. It's easy on the pocketbook. It's quiet. It's accurate. And you just can cut up and have fun,
shooting just random stuff. You kind of get that feeling like, remember, I never had a Benjamin pellet rifle.
I always wanted one,
Me
dude.
Too.
My buddy had one. Yep. I always wanted
Same
one.
Same here. Every one of my buddies had them, and I never had one. They're not being salty about that. I'm saying I always got to shoot
I'm
there.
a little salty about it, to be honest with you.
Well, dang it, me too. Let's go buy some. We'll order some one online. Right?
I know, man. That's what's going on with the 410s. That's why I'm buying a 410. I always wanted a great 410.
Yeah, but But yeah, it's like taking you back to shooting the birds, like shooting freaking robins, crap that we shouldn't have been shooting, sparrows, blue jays, like all the stuff.
Oh, come get me, take me to jail. I shot every bird I get.
Yeah, 100% me too. But like, there's so much like woodsmanship and like marksmanship you learn from that, dude. I remember shooting butterflies, but with the red butt. I mean, I don't remember hitting any, but like just you're trying to go with like the Red Ryder BB gun.
Oh yeah,
and just sitting there in some grass and butterflies, dragonflies.
Oh yeah,
bumblebees. It don't matter. You see something, you just shoot it. And like shooting those 22s, like you're talking about that 22 pistol, man, it's so much fun.
I was telling you yesterday, I've got them all. I mean, Magnum Research, Volquarts, and 1022 takedown rifles. I mean, all that stuff. You spend a bunch of money on it, whatever. And there is no better shooting, cycling, don't have to clean it, throw it in the back of the truck, never think about it till you need it sort of gun than a Ruger $200 1022 takedown. It is the jam. It's a takedown. You throw it in a backpack, throw it in the back of the truck. Don't ever think about it. Yep. Take it out, put it together. It works. You hadn't cleaned it in 2 years. It still cycles. Like that is an awesome piece of equipment. And again, it goes back to that, nostalgia. It's like so much fun to shooting those turtles off a catfish pond.
Oh, my goodness. You know what makes it all we didn't have growing up is suppressors.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, if you shoot a 22
Man, I'd probably be in jail.
Oh,
I did so much, shooting at things you shouldn't have. Kids do it. And
just dumb.
Yes, indeed.
Dumb stuff. Yeah, if suppressors, they're easier to get, and nothing's cheap these days.
Oh, no.
Conversations ain't cheap.
No.
But man, you can get suppressors cheaper. They're more affordable now than they ever have been.
Yep.
And the turnaround time, like my first one was 13 months. Nick, my
I waited 2 years.
His was 16 months.
Yeah.
It was forever. And then now they're turning them around. It's not every case, but they are turning them around in like 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
It could be a couple of days or a week. I think there's been a few that have even been a few weeks, but for the most part, if it's not done within that first day, like pretty quick, you go down there, do all your paperwork early one Wednesday morning, it is a pretty good chance, not guaranteed, a pretty good chance it'd be ready Wednesday afternoon for you to go back and pick it up.
That's crazy.
And that just takes so much of the weird hold off of buying a suppressor. It's cool.
I will say this about I have my rifles, my hunting rifles, when I do use them, are all suppressed. The Silencio Omega, and I've got the end cap, the flat end cap on there that drops the decibels. But it's those are so much fun to shoot at that now that they're suppressed. I mean, shooting a 308 is not super loud, but man, it's pretty loud.
Yeah.
But shooting it suppressed, I mean, it sounds like a 22 Magnum. I mean, it really does. It makes it enjoyable or more enjoyable. And, I think they're a great part of your toolbox as a hunter, as an outdoorsman, or just an enthusiast. Get you a 30 caliber kind of universal, whatever you can afford, and then get you a 1022 suppressor.
Yep.
You're never going to have more fun. I mean, it is just an amazing, amazing addition to having your toolbox.
Yeah. I have and you were there, the property I was on, and I remember I think I took Vaughn, we either FaceTimed you or sent you some pictures. But that's when I got the 35 wheeling. It was primitive. So this is after we rifle hunted your place at the end of season, and I went out to this other property. And dude, I picked that 35 wheeling up. I put my hybrid 46, it's a Silencer Co. hybrid 46. I screwed it on the end of that 35 wheeling. Went out, sighted it, shot it in, or sighted it, shot it, and sighted it in. And it had the Leupold scope has the reticles, or the turret, sorry. It does have the different BDC type reticle, but it has the turret you can go and adjust. And man, I went and I figured out the dope chart on that thing, and I went and I killed 2 does back to back, very first sit, me and Vaughn. I'm talking about within 10, 15 feet of each other, almost 300 yards, 200 and something yards from me. And that was awesome. But that suppressor, even out of that big 35 wheeling, that's a big bullet.
It is.
And but it flies fast. It's fast shooting and flat shooting. But man, it was just it was soaked. And having Vaughn with me.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying, bringing a young person with you. I mean, I remember as a child, I was a little gun shy because, 30-06. I mean, it's like a freaking cannon, super loud, things like that. And I think bringing young people around like Oliver, like Vaughn, and shooting suppressed, they're less jumpy. It's more friendly to their ears. I mean, we all want, I don't want to lose my hearing, I want to stay healthy and, but it's just more fun.
It is.
You can talk about the health benefits all you want or whatever. It's just more fun.
It is. It's easy. It's affordable. Go do it. Last year, Spotted Dog, they were for North Louisiana, the number one distributor, like retailer for suppressors, like with cans last year. And we're going to beat that number. Like we're already on track to beat that number here very, very, very soon. So
that's amazing.
The reason that is for a lot of reasons, but dude, you go down there like you're talking about just going and shooting the bull and talking with the archery department.
Yeah.
You do that with the guys on cans like Joseph, Ryan, not Ryan, Jacob, sorry. Ryan too, but Joseph, Jake, you just go down there and just chit chat with them, ask them 1,000 questions, and they are having a blast to talk to you about it all.
A lot of people out there, and I know, speaking just from personal experience, having been in the outdoors as a young person, and then kind of transitioning into that work mode and building success, or just really bearing down on it and not having time for the other for a long time, but trying to get back into it like I did, is a little daunting, and not knowing. There's been so many innovations. There's been so many improvements. And I was overwhelmed, you know what I mean? But finding the right people inside the industry, and my father-in-law was in the shooting sports industry. So, and he was a great resource, but, and being able to get all that cool stuff. I mean, wow. But anyway, having those guys like at Spotted Dog, even here locally at TP, I know the Spotted Dog podcast, but not everybody can make it to Spotted Dog.
Great people there.
You need something done right now. And we have that resource here and these people that are willing to talk to you about it and be honest with you and tell you, hey, this is what I think you need to do, that sort of thing. That's a big burden lifted. Because a lot of people, get overwhelmed by it. What do I need versus what do I want? Like let's say you're going down there to outfit a bow. Do I need the $250 back bar and blah, blah, blah from Matthews? Well, for me, I'm an integration fanatic. I'd like everything to look a certain way and fit a certain way. So, they've got me. I'm hooked like a dummy. But not everybody needs that, and having people that'll coach you through that process to get something in your hand that not only works, but is within your budget and you can rely on. It's really cool to have those resources,
Yeah, it is. All right. I didn't even tell you that I was even going to ask you this, but it's to the cooking. We'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up with this. So this is there's a lot of things your expertise, but this is definitely up your alley. So somebody that doesn't want to just fry deer steak.
Yep.
Just put it in some milk and then in some flour and throw it in a cast iron skillet. What is a recipe you want to encourage somebody to try when it comes to just deer meat in general that probably people haven't thought of before?
So like the hams on, all animals are similar in construction as far as their protein structure goes, right? So a deer is similar to a cow in a way. You have the tenderloin, you have the chuck, you have the flap steaks, you have the things like that. So going in there and not just hammering your meat, you know what I mean? You don't have to cook it to death to make it good. What we like to do, and we serve elk and things like that at the restaurant. You can take a roast and trim the muscles out of a roast instead of using it whole and age those just like you would a piece of meat, a piece of beef, anything like that to increase the tenderness of it. And you can grill it and slice it thin, across you don't want to go with the grain. You want to go across the grain. Those long protein strands are what makes things tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you kind of got this rule where you can cook it over 30 minutes or under 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. But what I recommend is experimentation. You know what I mean? Cook it like a steak. It doesn't have to be well done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're cooking a backstrap, cook it like a filet mignon. Treat it like what it is. You know what I mean? And get creative with it that way, using spices, not just Tony's, man. Get out there and try some fennel seeds, juniper berries, and crushed black pepper with kosher salt. You know what I mean? And season it overnight. That's one thing that we really do. We use a process called dry brining, where we take a seasoning mix that we have and we will season it and let it sit in the refrigerator uncovered overnight. And what that does is that salt penetrates through that protein and seasons it all the way through and pulls out some moisture as well. That's a really good process to have. Like wild duck, depending on what that duck eats, that duck is either going to be good or terrible. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
So dry brining is something that helps that duck meat that way. You know what I mean? We really think, and it allows you to crisp up the skin. A lot of people don't use their duck legs. They just breast them out. Well, you're missing out on a great piece of meat right there. Confying or cooking in its own fat, or buying some duck fat or lard and, dry brining them and cooking them slow, 240 degrees for 4 hours. Dude, you got something there. But people don't know what they don't know. And they've had it bad one way and they say, I don't like Brussels sprouts because they cooked them out of a can and they, it smelled awful and whatever else. So it's just about learning how to handle it properly. If you go to my website, I'm not pitching myself. It's chefcorybahr.com. Click recipes. There's a ton of recipes there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. We're going to be updating a lot of those too, to include some new wild game recipes coming around in hunting season. But there's a lot of things there that you can use. Treating deer ribs, okay, like a barbecue rib, dude. Get your pellet grill out, season them suckers up, brush them with some barbecue sauce. They're freaking delicious. Like doing some stuff like that you're not used to. Treating, like making carnitas out of a deer ham versus just putting it in a pot. Putting it in a slow cooker with, onion soup mix or whatever.
Right.
There's a big world out there to do things with and get creative. Is it all going to be great? Heck no. But you're learning, you know what I mean?
Trying different stuff.
Yeah, you're trying different stuff. But yeah, making like tacos with it, doing carnitas. It's a great way to use it in a creative fashion that allows you to not only expand your Rolodex of recipes, but also puts it to good use. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a big beautiful world out there, but also pairing things like, let's say you kill a sage grouse. That's a strong tasting freaking bird right there. Oh my goodness, man. But think about what it eats. Okay. So it eats sage. Use sage, black pepper, those sort of things with it to complement that flavor. Things like gaminess that you think about from, which I appreciate in venison, you want to pair bold flavors with it. Lots of black pepper. We all know lots of black pepper goes great with it, but also like things like fresh bay leaves, juniper berries, and red wine.
Yeah.
You can marinate your deer steak like that. You're going to get a lot of flavor in it. But don't be afraid of it, and don't be afraid of screwing up. That's something really important. But yeah, man, this is also interrelated. When you have this conversation, I mean, I'm telling you, my career started around the campfire as a young man with my grandfather and his buddies. I mean, that's where it started. And I'm so thankful for the friendships and for the opportunities and for, just getting out in the outdoors and doing this thing. Man, it's almost like medicine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. When you do that kind of stuff, you're not looking and like, man, we've got to hurry up and book a vacation somewhere, or we got to get away to You're doing it.
Yeah.
It may not be the beach. It may not be the mountains. It may just be just the flats here in North Louisiana. But when you're doing and taking advantage of the things you have, like I say, it goes full circle. You're out there bow fishing, that stuff we did yesterday. Taking a vacation, that's not even, it is because of my family, but other than that, me personally, it's nowhere near on my mind.
No, me either, man. I mean, I'm not thinking about anything else when we're up in Kansas and it's 4 million degrees. You know what I mean? And we got ticks crawling all over us. I'm not thinking about putting my feet up and drinking a cold one. I'm thinking about how awesome this is to be doing it, and to be chasing these beautiful animals and be given this opportunity to connect with nature and to really do something cool. You know what I mean? And do something that we've been doing for millions of years as humans, like chasing wildlife, maybe with a little bit better equipment, maybe a little bit, a lot more convenience. but still to get that opportunity to reconnect to who we are and to be, it makes me feel more human.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't find joy in killing an animal, man. It's kind of weird. There's a reverence there. There's the like taking a life. It's. I'm not trying to be poetic about it. I mean, I'm super pumped when it happens. You know what I mean? But then the reality sets in that, like, you know, this was an animal. This was one of God's creatures. This took its life. You know, that sort of thing. But then, you know, doing a good job cooking it, you know, doing a good job preparing it, doing a good thing with the land by providing for these animals and doing that sort of thing, I think is a really good thing as well.
Yeah. Just having respect for it.
Yeah, man.
I used to be trigger happy, and I loved to shoot and kill everything when I was younger.
I know.
And dude, I'm talking about now, I get excited when I stick an arrow through a big deer. I get so I can't. I'm going on an archery bear hunt next year. Stoked about that. Me and you next year we're going on an elk hunt. We still got to book that thing. We got to get that lined out.
We got to go do it.
Like I'm excited about all that.
I've got 4 points for Iowa next year. I'll be able to
draw. Is it too late for me to?
No, you can still do it. Go get your preference points for Iowa, people.
Yep.
$60.
Get
it's awesome.
Yep. But yeah, having the respect of, I just shot this animal, but knowing what that is about to do for our family.
Oh, yeah.
We can still go to the store and buy the meat and do all that. But man, just like you said, Vaughn, between the pineapple pepper jack sausage or the little snack sticks or just deer burger or backstrap, dude, we eat that. He eats that all the time. Ren, she's getting some teeth now, so she does too. And it just feels good feeding my family that on something I went out. And that's part of the big excitement.
That is, man. And it tells a story, you know, and I think that's what's important with a lot of food is telling a story through your food, especially at the restaurant. You know, it's not just a place to eat, man. It's a place to come enjoy life.
Yep.
And to be taken care of, you know. So,
well, Chef Cory Bahr, I've never called you that before. I never am.
Don't ever do that
I'm
again.
Never doing it.
Don't ever do that again.
Cory, thank you for coming on. Tell people how to find you if they want to follow your stuff or come to your restaurants. What do they do?
Yeah, so on the socials, it's just Cory Bahr, CoryBahr on Instagram, chefcorybahr.com on the World Wide Webs, parishrestaurant.com, Standard Coffee in downtown Monroe, Louisiana. We got it going on. Come check us out. We appreciate everybody. We love our community. We wouldn't be here without you. And for those of you out there that like this podcast, and go check it out and go to Spotted Dog, go see Richard and Michael and the crew up there, and they'll take good care of you.
Yeah, that's solid. Thank you for coming on. All right, check out Spotted Dog Sporting Goods .com for all of your hunting and fishing needs. You get the same spiel every time. Free shipping on orders over $99 or more. I've said it twice on the past 2 episodes. It takes a little while to get it all designed and ordered, but we got some super cool merch coming. Richard, I use the merch word for you. Richard hates that word, merch. Just call it merchandise or call it hats or shirts or whatever, koozies. But we got some super cool merchandise coming. It's going to be pretty dope. Excited about all that, and we'll be posting here. Again, it's coming along slower than I want, but faster than what it probably typically is. And so we're excited about that. Last thing, push a product that I didn't find an opportunity for a while ago. You're talking about walking out there with the ticks and all that.
Yep.
We're right here in May. If you do not have a pair, you could hate Sitka. I'm not pushing Sitka stuff on you. You can wear
the Equinox Guard.
If you do not have a set of or pair, even if it's just the pants of the Equinox Guard, the Sitka Equinox Guard pants, do yourself a favor. Go to SpottedDogSportingGoods.com. Order them.
Yeah.
They're over $99. You're going to get free shipping. But let me tell you something. Those, I don't go in the woods without them.
Yeah.
Like I really, it's insane seeing what bugs do when they come in contact with those pants.
Completely agree, man. And you could call me a Sitka fanboy. It works for me. I like the system. I like the integration. But that was a game changer. I mean, here in Louisiana, early season, I like to get it done early season, and typically it's wet. And if you're running a Thermacell or something like that, and you want to go in the woods, you want to be truly odorless, you want to be truly protected, though, at the same time, that will do it. I thought it was gimmicky. It's not. It's the real deal. It works. They got it down. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, so check it out, SpottedDogSportingGoods.com. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you.
All right, bye, everybody.